Good evening, everyone. This is Mark Tumandan of Libas Church of Christ. You can call or text to my phone 0977-456-4136 or contact me in my email marktumandan@yahoo.com.ph or marktumandan121992@gmail.com for any prayer request or Bible study. And you can contact me also through Facebook. Just search Mark Tumandan or Mike Tumandan. So, this is the part 2 of our study concerning Bible authority. Ikaduha na ni part 2 sa tuwang pag-study. Umana na to bahin sa we have tackled about direct command, necessary inference, approve example, direct command kung nabay mabasag yun sa Biblia verse by verse, and then necessary inference, ma-infer walay mabasa exactly yun nga word by word, pero na ay there's facts adunay butang nga nag-infer ni ana. Take for example ni pagmata nimo sa buntag, when you wake up in the morning, nakita nimo ang palibot sa inyong balay basa. When you wake up in the morning, when you woke up in the morning, you saw the plants, they are wet, there's water, and then you infer that there was a heavy rain. So that is inference. And then there is a proof example. Example bisan sa mga courts, di ba? Ang mga judge, wala gyud na sila makakita sa mga panghitabo. They have no personal knowledge about the incident, but because of the witnesses, because of the circumstances, the facts and circumstances, they can infer na mao na siya innocente or guilty. So nga na usab diha sa pag-alagad sa Dios, based on the facts and circumstances surrounding my point na to, we can believe that that is authorized. So we have talked about age and additions. Age makatabang, additions dungag. Age helps to carry out the command, additions added to the kind. In water baptism, it is immersion. When it is sprinkling, that is additions. So karon matuta sa essentials and incidentals. Ano man yung mga essentials o incidentals? Essentials meaning katong mga butang importante. Take for example, in the conversion. In the conversion, adunay mga essentials, aduna po incidentals. It is important in studying the conversions that we can read in the book of Acts, that we can note the distinction between essentials and conversions, and also the circumstances or the incidental surrounding in the cases of conversions. So there is essential, there is incidentals, there are circumstances. Adunay mga panghitabo nga lahi sa isa ka higayon. So there are essentials and there are incidentals, the circumstances surrounding the event. Take for example, in the God's law of conversion is always the same. God's law provides for all men to be saved by the power of the gospel of Christ. In the law of conversion, ang gospel, the same gospel, the same facts to believe. No matter what is the circumstance, bisag unsa pa ang pangitabo, one must believe that Jesus died at the cross. One must believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. The confession of Peter in Matthew 16, bago mingon si Jesus nga, I will build my church, and ingon na si Pedro nga, and thou, ingon si Pedro nga, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. That is essential in every conversion. That is essential. So in every case of conversion recorded, we will note that the gospel was preached. Gospel, importante ang gospel, importante ang Great Commission. There is no exception to this rule. Paul tells us, for after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. In 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 21. So, the gospel is essential in conversion. So, there is an authority in that. We have the authority to preach the gospel. We have the authority to preach the facts about the gospel. What are the facts about the gospel? That Jesus died at the cross, that Jesus was buried, and Jesus was risen in the third day. So that are the facts one must believe, no matter what is the circumstance. Bisag pag mag-COVID-19, bisan pag maglinog, bisan pag though there is quarantine, one should believe. So there's no excuse for that. One cannot say that I am excused for not believing that Jesus is the Christ because there's a calamity. No, that is not essential. The essential is you believe that Jesus died at the cross. You believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. Bisag mo to pa ka, though you believe that Jesus died at the cross, if you don't believe that the one who died at the cross is the Christ, the Son of the living God, your faith is futile. Your faith is not authorized by God. You don't have that faith is not within the context of the authority of God, because we are dealing with authority. Though you believe that Jesus died at the cross, if the one you believe is, you don't believe that he is the Christ, the Son of God, that faith is futile. So that is essential. That is essential thing. Before you're immersed, kinahanglan mo to ka nga, Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. So, in the Great Commission, Jesus commanded that the gospel should be preached to every creature and that all nations should be taught in the gospel. So, that is essential. In our worship, the gospel is essential. When we preach about Christian living, it connects about the gospel of Christ. So, there's an essential thing in that. In the Lord's Supper, the essential is, it is the bread, it is the grapes. So no matter where, no matter the place, is just an incidental. The place is, you cannot say that dire lang, in this place only this is authorized, and when this is done in this certain place, this is no. The gospel is authorized, then the Lord's Supper is, as long as the elements did not change, it is essential. So, nga nang incidental, and then God's grace, the grace that is essential. We are saved by the grace of God. Our faith is within the context of the grace of God. When you believe, it is in the context of the grace of God. When you are baptized, it is within the grace of God. So, circumstances were incidental and varied in conversion is, example, in Acts chapter 8, so si Philip o ang Ethiopian nga, ang kaibahan dito is si Philip was directed by the Holy Spirit to go to the Ethiopian eunuch. Karon, a preacher cannot wait for the Holy Spirit to be directed nga moadto sa certain usa ka tawo nga mahulat siya, that he will wait in his room, that I will wait for the Holy Spirit to direct me to when parang i-reveal niya karon kanako. That is unlike at the time of Philip nga nagpadamgo ang Holy Spirit, or dili nagpadamgo pero nagsugod yun sa iyaha kita. So this resulted in the introduction of the gospel into that land. In Acts chapter 9 verse 22, Acts chapter 9, chapter 22, chapter 26 contain the story of the conversion of Saul. Na mga extraordinary circumstance of the appearance of Christ in a miraculous light to Saul on the road to Damascus. Mao na convert si Saul. So, kana siyang mga panghitabo, those circumstances, those are incidentals. Those circumstances nga varied, magkaiba-iba nga dili niya mo ma-apply sa usa ka conversion. Iba. So, like for example, in partaking in worship, there are things that are beyond the control of a Christian. Adunay mga pangitabo nga beyond sa control. Ang usa ka Kristohanon di sa niya masabtan, cannot understand everything. He cannot understand what's happening, but he can only trust in God. He can only know that God guides the history. God is there to help. But there are things that beyond our control. Mga butang wala sa imong control. You cannot control it. Wala kay kakayahan. Take for example, in Acts 22, Paul and Silas, si Pablo o si Silas, they were in prison. Butang na to, granting that they were in prison upon the first day of the week.